Hey everyone, SweetJohnnyCage here, back with another guide for Kena Bridge of Spirits. This time I'm going to show you where to find all of the collectibles in Rusu Mountain. Spoilers abound for the entire area. These items are very scattered throughout, so just be warned. The way this guide works, you can check the timestamps in the description if you're looking for anything specific, but first I'll cover all 13 rot, then the 6 hats, 3 flower shrines, and the spirit mail. The cursed chest contains a hat, so we will cover it in the hat section, but I'll leave that in the descriptor for the timestamp. So just in case you're looking for that specifically, you can find that in the description. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. The first rot can be found right at the entrance of the area in this really big pool. This is just a few seconds after the name Rusu Mountain pops up on your screen. You will see a lamp in the far back left corner of this little pond area, and near that lamp there will be a rock that you can just send your rot to, and they will flip it over and rescue one of their own.
Right there.
The next rot is in the combat arena, as shown here on the map. This one is really easy to miss because you're just sort of plowing through the area, going through combat challenges. But you want to overturn this rock, and you will find the rot underneath. For the third rot, as you are climbing around this sort of slippery slope area, I'll show you on the map in a second, you want to jump down and keep double jumping until you land on this platform here. This is kind of tricky to do. I didn't find a good place to drop down on it necessarily, although now that I'm saying that I think I know of one, but it's okay. You could just do that, and then you want to pulse at this little shrine here, and then the rot will pop out. All right, next up at the Ruins Warp Point, you want to just jump off the cliff right in front of the warp point here. You'll see some little handholds, but you don't even have to worry about them. You can just drop down and just double jump to safety. But you have a little shrine here. Pulse at this, and then the rot will pop out. All right, next up, once you reach the top of the whole Uncharted-esque looking platforming section, there is a mini area here that's actually kind of hard to find. I didn't see this my first 5 times through this area. This is actually the last one I found, but I put it in order of how you can find them. So you want to lift up this brick, move it over here, and then just jump up. And then there is a log that you can use your rot to flip over, and then another rot will be hidden underneath. All right, next up, once you reach Rusu's Lookout, you want to find this jar hanging off of a branch, and then inside is a rot. At this point, you will have the bow, so you can just shoot it. I tried pulsing just to see what would happen, but you do need to shoot it, and then the rot will drop down, and I'll show you on the map here in a second. God, these guys are so cute. Yeah, so right here in the lookout area on the map. Okay, next up, after you defeat the boss Wood Knight, you will get 3 rot. Then, inside of the house, there will be another rot hidden in a drawer. I want to tell you, just as a little aside, I scoured hours and hours of footage of my gameplay looking for these final 3 rot. I just didn't catalog them because I didn't know that they were actually counting as part of the map checkbox. But the 3 that are rewarded from the boss do count towards the 13. So just keep that in mind, in case you're wondering, where were they? They were on the boss. Okay. So with that one in tow, you want to leave the house, and then there will be a vegetable garden just past the warp point. So you want to take out your bow, and then you want to shoot one of the targets. That sends out a tear, and then you want to get the rot to move the tear into the little bean sprout here. And then once that happens, you can use the tier to put your rot back into their original form. And then you want to move the tier around the garden. And then once it all flashes gold, that's how you know that it's complete and you've gotten everything in there, just like that. But we're not done just yet. You'll see this little squash here that sprouted up. You want to just pulse standing next to the squash, and then you will get this rot. Additionally, this also gives you a hat. This was another thing that I didn't catalog correctly in my notes, and that drove me nuts. All right, the next rot is in this garden. You're in this little shrine area, also in Rusu's house. And this little guy is running around, and I, for some reason, didn't think to just pulse standing next to him. Instead, I shot him with an arrow, and that works too. So whatever you want to do, either pulse, shoot it with an arrow, whatever you got to do. Somehow I hit a blind shot right there. This also gives you a helm, but we'll cover that in a little bit, or a hat, rather. So right back here in this garden. All right, next up, you want to go back down to the entrance to the whole area. And now that you have the bow, you can shoot yourself across onto this island for the 13th and final rot of Rusu Mountain. So just pulse at this shrine right here near the entrance, and then you will be able to get the rot. Okay, so moving on to hats. The first one is the bird's nest, and this one is in a cursed chest. So we are killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Maybe that's why they put a bird's nest in here. I just thought of that. Anyway, there's a cursed chest on this little ridge here, and the challenge is to defeat all the enemies without getting hit. It's only 4 enemies. They're really easy. I don't think anybody even swung at me the whole time I was fighting them, so it's really not too hard. Just don't get surrounded, and you should be fine. But you can also just... Oh, I guess one of them did swing. But you could just keep swinging, and you'll actually wind up hitting multiple, so it's all good. And then once you drop the 4th and final enemy, the challenge ends, the spooky red smoke goes away, the chest is now cleansed of the curse, and then once you open it, you will get the bird's nest hat, and then the cursed chest checkbox will be marked, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. All right, next up, we have the Whirly Bird, and this is obtained simply by walking up to the hat cart in Rusu's lookout. So that's it. That's basically an automatic one. Next up, we have Rusu's mask. We get this by completing all 5 of the shooting mini-games in Rusu's lookout. So the first one basically just comes up by default. I'm actually not 100% sure if this one's actually necessary. It probably is. But once you complete that, you can move on to the rest. So the second one is kind of interesting. The second one, you have to send your rot in the distance to flip the switch, and then 4 big targets will drop down from this orange tree here. You just shoot the 4 targets, you have plenty of time, and then once the leaf fireworks go off and you get some currency, that's how you know you're done. The third one is a movement challenge, so you want to talk to Rusu right here near the flower shrine, which we'll get to in a little bit. He will tell you to follow the path and hit all 6 targets before time runs out, and then you can basically just start right away. I don't know if you can get a false start and have to restart. I don't know if that happens, but you have plenty of time here. This is my first attempt, and I finished it with about 9 or 10 seconds left, so you really have plenty of time. If you're trying to go for a record or something, jump in the air and hold L2 to slow down time if you have that passive buff, and that also slows down the timer. All right, I guess I have like 7 seconds left. There you go. The fireworks go off, and then that is the 3rd challenge. The 4th one, I guess, is probably really the 5th one, but I did these out of order because I couldn't figure out how to activate the other one. But for this 5th one, it's near the hat cart, or the 4th one rather, it's near the hat cart. There are 3 levels of difficulty. You'll know you're done with each one every time the fireworks go off or the leaf works. I couldn't understand like why I didn't get a reward, but then Rusu tells you there's 3 difficulties. So you just want to flip the switch 3 times until you complete everything. I will say I don't really recommend firing too fast because you don't want to be out of arrows. And I know that sounds a little funny, but if you want to you kind of want to time things a little bit. This way you don't run out too quickly. And then don't forget to wait for a full recharge of all of your arrows before you move on to another difficulty. So you want to just fire kind of slowly and take your time. I do wish that there was like an actual timer in the game to show you how long you have. You kind of just gotta panic and pray to God you're doing it quick enough. But yeah, as you can see here, I'm sort of like delaying my shots a little bit. This way I always have one in the chamber. I'm not really paying attention to the timer or anything. You know, the restock timer, it's really just by feeling. But yeah, so the third difficulty level is quite long. Always shoot the targets in the order that they appear, otherwise they will fall before you get to them. Once the fireworks go off after the third difficulty and you get your currency, you're good to go. So the fifth and final challenge, you have to shoot one of the wooden Whirly Birds in order to start it. And the way you do that, it's actually this one right here. I tried shooting the one on the bottom and that didn't activate it, so I think it has to be the one on the left. But you just shoot all three before they reach the ground. And if that's your final challenge, you get Rusu's mask for all of your effort. The fourth hat you can get is the squash hat. We covered this one already in this video, but just in case you're looking for specific items and using the timestamps, we'll go over it again. So in Rusu's house, you want to exit, go to the vegetable garden, shoot the target to release a tear, move it over to the sprout, and then it grows into a full tear. I guess maybe it's like a droplet of water, not a tear yet, but anyway, summon the tear, move it around the vegetables until they all sprout up. You'll know that you have completed the vegetable garden when it bursts gold, just like that. So once that's done, you can see a squash over here, very peculiar looking. Pulse it to get the rot out, and then once you obtain this rot, you will get the squash hat as well. I did notice that it took a little while for the prompt to come up, the actual like loot prompt that I received it. There you go. So I had no idea I actually got it. The flower hat is obtained by looting another rot, which we covered as well. This one you can either pulse standing next to it as it's bouncing around, or you can do what I did and shoot an arrow because you didn't think to press L1 standing next to a purple object. I had a brain fart. I think this was like 3:30 in the morning by the time I got to this one. But once you obtain this rot, it sort of floats down on this flower, and then when you collect it, you also get the flower hat.
Hey there, buddy.
The final hat in this area is the feather. So you want to move along this cogwheel. Basically, you just send the rot onto the prompt and then shoot an arrow until you have a platform available. Jump up here, move the elevator or lift back into position if it's not already. I kind of messed with this before figuring it out. And once you come up here, you want to shoot an arrow into the flower to activate the grappling hook. I think it's called the whip, actually. And then once you do that, and you're in midair, you want to hold L2, slow down, and then shoot another one. This way you chain your hook shot. And then the feather is in this chest here. And that is the final hat of Rusu Mountain. Next, we're going to talk about the flower shrines. So this one is pretty obvious. You have to get to this point as you're adventuring up the mountain, trying to get to Rusu's house. So once you activate this tier, you want to use the rot to activate it, and then you want to move it towards these corrupted flowers over here, spin them away, and then don't disengage it just yet because you still have more rot to clear, or more corruption to clear, rather. And then the shrine is right here. The second shrine is on Rusu's Lookout. This one actually tripped me up. I didn't realize this side path to take. But you will run into this, this shrine really quickly. But just to the right of it is a shaded path up to an overlook. And then there will be a gem on the side of a tree. Shoot it with an arrow to release a tear. This grows immediately into a bigger tear. So go ahead and use the rot to activate it. And then we're just going to kite this guy down, or guide him down the shaded path, and we're going to bring him right into the flower shrine. All right, the final flower shrine is near the Owl Mother Shrine, near Rusu's house. Basically, just where you got the flower hat and this rod here, we want to then move and shoot an arrow into the Owl Mother's chest. This releases a water droplet that turns into a tear. Go ahead and send the rod into the tear, and then have them break away this corruption. And then you're going to do it again. I have a video cut here because I didn't think to do this. But you want to guide him into the cave, and then there will be more corruption to break just further on. And then the shrine is right behind this. There you go. There's the third and final flower shrine of Rusu Mountain. All right, so the final thing that we got to get here is the spirit mail. So when you're climbing up these, I like to refer to this as like the Uncharted section, because I'm pretty sure this looks like Uncharted 3 here. But you want to jump onto these ledges, and instead of going left to go further up the mountain, you instead want to go right. And as you move all the way right, you'll be able to get into a tiny little cave that has the spirit mail inside. And the spirit mail is used for a mailbox in town. So once you get it, just look at your map and go back to the village, and you'll notice that one of the mailbox icons on the map is now glowing blue. So you want to return there, deliver their letter, and then it unlocks their house, and then you get more loot. But we'll cover that in the actual village section. But that's it. That's all the collectibles in Rusu Mountain. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. If you're looking for more guides for Kena Bridge of Spirits, please subscribe to the channel so you get alerted when new guides go live. If you're interested in supporting the channel monetarily, please consider becoming a channel member by clicking the blue join button below this video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and to join the new community Discord. The link for that is in the video description below. I'm SweetJohnnyCage. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.